All right, we're live. Is this thing on? I had to blow the dust off of it because I know it's been quite some time since I have gone live here on this channel. But I have an extremely special guest here. We have company, so everybody better be on their best behavior. Okay, you know how to act. But I have with me someone that she has been had me on her channel when I think I had maybe like 11. I'm exaggerating. I probably had like 3 or 4 subscribers. She's been so welcoming to me. And she is, at this point considered a sister friend. And that is Dr. Kamani. Yes. So welcome,
Yay.
Dr. Kamani.
Thank you, April. I'm
Yes,
so
yes.
happy to be here today
Yeah, thank you
on
for
your
swinging
channel.
by my little corner of the internet. Now, before we get into the introductions, I just wanted to do a little bit of housekeeping. I like to call them the church announcements. I am going to link in the video because I'm going to be posting next week the 10th video in the 10 Days of Gratitude series. And I'm also going to be posting some videos about my debt confession. Let me lean in. Don't tell nobody. And how I
Mm,
paid off over $100,000 in less than a
wow.
year of debt. So
Wow.
if that is something that you are interested in, then go ahead and subscribe to the channel because that's going to be coming in next week.
That's
Okay.
major.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I want to, we don't talk about money as a
Mm-hmm.
community, especially as women.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's just very taboo.
Mm-hmm.
And not talking about it, I believe, is what has led to so much financial literacy in the Black community. There was
Mm-hmm.
no shame about that. If you spend all of that energy feeling under that shame and condemnation,
Mm-hmm.
that's energy that could be used towards finding solutions and building yourself up and encouraging yourself. So
Mm-hmm.
that is
Mm-hmm.
what we are getting ready to talk about money. So I'm very excited about that. And speaking of excited, we are both celebrating two things today.
Yes.
For me, obviously, I'm celebrating tendering my resignation. Yes, I know. And also, it's my birthday today. So, yeah, 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 yeah. I'm
Yay.
excited about that. And then Dr. Kamani is celebrating the upcoming Job Liberation Summit, which we're going to talk about here in a little bit. And also, she is now, after much prayer and supplication, okay, she is now officially a Hello 7 certified coach.
Yes.
And we will get there. But first, okay, see, let me mind my manners. First, go ahead and introduce yourself and just share who you are for those who may not know you, even though
Okay.
everyone knows you.
Okay. Okay. My name is Dr. Kimani. I'm a licensed clinical psychologist in California. I'm also a toxic job survivor and a toxic job liberator for Black women. And my YouTube channel is Lifting Us We Climb Consulting, Wellness Services, where I talk about ways to support Black women leaving and healing from toxic jobs.
I love that. Okay. So before we start talking about your journey from,
Hmm.
you know, your black excellence journey, because you're a doctor, so you definitely check you checked off all the boxes. I want to start by talking about what is, and I know it's a subjective term because a
Hmm.
toxic job can mean something different, have its
Hmm.
own permutations and combinations.
Hmm.
But I want you to give a general overview for those who may be unfamiliar with the term and
Hmm.
those who also may not even realize that they are in a toxic job currently.
Yeah. Well, first, I appreciate you saying that it could look different for everybody. But I think the main thing that we need to keep in mind is a toxic job is anything that's causing you harm, physically, psychologically, even spiritually. So if you're waking up every day dreading going to your job, if you go to your job and feel that you're being disrespected,
Mhm.
demoralized, you're starting to question your profession, you are starting to question, parts of your life. The job is all consuming. So if it starts spilling over to other areas of your life and it just makes you feel a negative way about yourself and about your life, and that's just a general definition of what it's toxic.
Okay, so what I heard you say is that crying in the parking lot on the way to work, crying, and you have to go to on your lunch break, and every break you get, you're crying in your car. Sometimes you can't even make it down there and you're crying in the bathroom, because that was me.
Mhm.
So
And you're trying to
driving,
pep talk yourself. So let's
yes.
say crying on the way to work, crying in the bathroom, and then you're trying to mask yourself, trying to get yourself
Mhm.
together, right?
Yeah.
So masking yourself and just the toll that that takes on you. So when you think about the environment and the negativity in the environment, we're ingesting that. So the
Yeah.
toxicity is poison that starts getting in our system, right?
Mhm.
And so we start having physical and or psychological symptoms. So that's why it's so important to recognize and identify what is contributing to why I'm feeling this way.
Mhm.
And you can often say, it's the job. It's the job.
Yeah. And that tends to spill over, correct me if I'm wrong, it
Hmm.
tends to spill over into like home. I
Oh,
think,
yeah.
we talked about this before, when your like when your family knows your coworkers by name,
And they're
they
like,
know
oh my
everything.
God, not this
Yeah.
person again, not this.
Right.
They know everybody.
Yeah, and it's hard to
Hmm.
like, it's hard to turn off, because
Yeah.
as Black women, we have to be, the strong Black women,
Hmm.
where we're
Hmm.
guilted into, well, our parents made so many sacrifices. There were so many people who came before me to,
Hmm.
that I'm standing on their shoulders. And
Hmm.
again, there's a lot of guilt
Yeah.
involved and shame.
And April, in addition to that, the social programming as Black
Hmm.
women that
Hmm.
we're fighters, we're strong, we're not
Right,
going to let anybody run us out, we're not
right.
weak, we're not a punk, like all those things. So then because of that, then we stay there even longer. But when we do that, we're not even valuing our own humanity. So the
Hmm.
job is probably not valuing us at all, right? Treat us
Yeah.
like workhorses, disrespecting us, all that kind of stuff. But then we start lying to ourselves saying, I got this.
Hmm.
They're not going to run me out here. This is a good job, all that
Yeah.
kind of stuff. But then we are continuing to be harmed.
Hmm. Yeah, we ignored that harm, as we have learned through conditioning. Okay,
Yes.
so, and thank you for sharing that, because, we've talked offline and even on your
Hmm.
channel
Hmm.
about what that looks like for, being in a toxic job,
Hmm.
really the physical effects, especially if it's a good job. And even how people can tell you, like, well, if they paid me what they're paying you,
Hmm.
you know how I feel about that. Money is only a motivator
Hmm.
when you don't have any. When you start getting used to that income, it's no, like, you want your free time. You want to be
Hmm.
emotionally free, so that
Hmm.
you're not thinking about that job 24/7. So
Yeah, and
in
it's
that same,
almost like selling your soul. You're selling your soul to a job for some money, right? And I
yeah,
want to quote Stephanie Perry, who says, and I love what she said. She said, a job is not a good job if it's killing you, number one.
right,
Number
right.
two, if you're accessing your healthcare benefits, these so called good healthcare benefits, because the job is making you sick, that's
Mm-hmm.
not a good job. So we need to be clear about that and say, this job is harming me.
Yeah,
Let me look at what my options are, right? So let me explore what other alternatives I have because we have options. We're
yeah,
all educated, we've got options.
yeah.
But I think what happens is that we think in the social programming, we get a so called good job and we're supposed to stay there,
Right,
but not if it's hurting you
right,
or
right.
not if you've outgrown it.
Yeah. And even that permission, I know for me, you mentioned Stephanie Perry,
Hmm.
but for me, before I heard about Exodus Summit through, I think it was Rashida's like MSNBC. And you know how the algorithm does, it just started
Hmm.
showing, it linked Stephanie and Rashida.
Hmm.
And I was seeing
Hmm.
Black women
Hmm.
who, did the whole Black excellence thing, who walked away because
Hmm.
their peace is not for sale.
Oh, I
And
like that.
that
Yes.
gave me permission. Not
Hmm.
that I need, like, obviously, we can do what we want. We have free
Hmm.
will, but
Hmm.
seeing that and seeing people who looked like me, had
Hmm.
the education, had that, I don't want to say the pedigree, but you know what I mean? Like, had
Yeah.
things,
Yeah.
and we're just like, yeah, we're not doing this anymore. And
Yeah.
moving. Because I felt alone. I've
Mm.
always wanted to travel the world
Mhm.
ever since I was a little girl.
Mhm.
And, work starts becoming the priority, at least for me, as
Mhm.
but some of you may not. I was a teen mom. And
Mhm.
so they told me if I kept my son, I wasn't even going to graduate from high school. So of
Wow.
course, I'm getting not 1 degree, not 2 degrees, 3 degrees, because I'm going to prove them wrong. So you
Mm.
got just different things that are added. That is
Mhm.
why being in a toxic job, or even how you perceive your job, is going to be nuanced for each
Mhm.
person, because we have
Absolutely.
so
It's our
many,
own history.
yeah, external
Mhm.
and internal factors that are involved.
Mhm.
So,
And can I add something to April that
of course.
we all come into a job with our own issues, right? But we need to be mindful that sometimes when you're in a toxic job, this is another sign of a toxic job, is when the toxic job starts paralleling other traumas in your own life,
Mm.
and or you start becoming a different person because of the experiences that you're having in a toxic job.
Yeah, you feel lost. At least, I'll speak for myself.
Yeah.
I felt so lost
Mhm.
and I was ashamed. Like I said, here I am with 3 degrees. I
Mhm.
am, an intelligent woman. How
Mhm.
come I can't answer the question from my
Mm.
therapist, who is April? I mean,
Mm.
like I was just like, and I did make a video, and I'll link that in the description when we hop off here. But I
Mhm.
made a video like, who are you when outside of your titles, your
Mhm.
degree, your job,
Mhm.
your family,
Mhm.
your civic contributions, your church, all of these things. Like I could not answer the question as a I me statement.
Wow.
I had to answer it. Well,
That's
so I work
profound.
here and I work
The
there.
disconnect.
Yeah, because I didn't know who I was, and I'm
Mhm.
like, had some negative self-speak behind that
Mhm.
for a while because,
Mhm.
what's wrong with me that I'm at this big age and I don't
Mm.
even know who I am. And
Hmm.
it was very scary for me, and I
Yeah.
realized that avoiding again, I was somebody's mama. We grew up together.
Uh-huh.
We went off to college together, and I didn't know who I was outside of being a mother. And instead
Mm.
of exploring that, who are you
Mhm.
now at this age in
Mhm.
my 30s?
Mhm.
I just shifted into work. And,
Yeah.
eventually that became my identity.
Yes,
Even
and
though I'm
that's
doing
very
it,
dangerous.
yeah, yeah,
Mhm.
because it's tough to separate. And
Yeah.
it's tough to separate being a mother. That's why I always tell people, that have young children, I'm
Mhm.
like, make sure that you keep like a part of you,
Mhm.
just
Yeah.
for you, even if you're in any type of relationship,
Mhm.
marriage, a long-term partnership, like keep part of your identity. You can
Mhm.
have that melded, you all can grow together, but
Mhm.
who are you outside of this? And that
Yeah.
sometimes, again, um, working at a toxic job, we spend
Mhm.
more time, well, not, really post COVID, but when we were in the office, we spent
Mhm.
more time of our waking time with
Mhm.
our coworkers
Yeah.
than we did,
With our
with our
families.
families. Yeah.
Yep.
So we were, as you mentioned, if like for me, for example, I was in several controlling relationships.
Mm.
Some, got like physically abusive, but it was that
Mm.
manipulation. And,
Mm.
like me just trying to do everything to make it right. And
Mhm.
it needs to be right. And,
Mhm.
things like that. And it
Mhm.
shows up at work. So it's not
Yeah.
just limited, as you mentioned, some of those things, and it's vice versa. If you look and see what is happening in your personal life, it's
Mhm.
definitely showing up at work. And if you
True.
look at some of the things that are showing up at work,
Mhm.
turn and look to see, I can almost guarantee that that is still
It's
happening.
it's the parallel dynamics, right?
Yeah.
So the dysfunction, the toxicity, parallel existence in our professional, our personal lives. And well, I want to give you a heads up, a high five for seeking therapy, right?
Oh
So,
yes. Oh,
you
I
know,
love I love
I just
that.
want to say that kudos to you and to other Black women. I want to say that, when we're in difficult relationships, jobs, family relationships, how important it is for us to heal ourselves and seek
Mhm.
therapy because it helps you connect to yourself because
Yeah.
all these things can make you become disconnected from yourself. That's a very lonely feeling.
Yeah. And then when you're in that disconnect too, and that's what I love about the Exodus Summit community and the
Mhm.
wonderful women and the groups I'm in that have branched off from Exodus Summit. But that's what I love is the community because
Mhm.
I was all alone. I didn't know
Yeah.
anything about Exodus Summit.
Yeah.
My friends and family, wait a minute, you about to leave that good job? Or didn't you just leave one? Or didn't you just have another job? And it's like
Uh-huh.
I couldn't share those things with anyone that I know would be happy for me. And
Mm.
when you were in that place where you're
Mhm.
coming to the realization that you are in a toxic job,
Mhm.
you want to leave it,
Mhm.
you don't necessarily know how, and
Mhm.
also you're very vulnerable.
Mhm.
Like you are wide open. So when
Mhm.
people could say one thing well meaning, well, what
Mhm.
about your retirement? Like, wait,
Yeah.
then it's like, okay, well, maybe I shouldn't do it.
Yeah.
It's almost like
Yeah.
double dutch, like
Yeah.
you want
Well,
to.
it's like they're projecting all their fears onto
Yes,
you, and they may be
yes,
well meaning because they're scared. But when they project their fears onto you, they're not in your skin. They don't know what it's
right,
like for you to wake up every day and dread
right.
waking up. They don't know what it's like for you to just, like you said, cry in the bathroom at work. They don't know what that's like. And so we have to say, wait a minute, I hear you, but that's your fears. I got enough of my own fears. I
Right.
can't take on your fears too. So being mindful of, oh my goodness, I'm sorry, it's like a fire alarm going on, but it's
That's
good.
okay.
It's no fire. Okay.
Yeah, yeah, that's fine.
So,
We can hear you.
being aware that you have to center yourself, and when you need to say, I cannot listen to this person because
Hmm.
this person is speaking from a different perspective. And I want to quote Glamazini, check the tree before you pick the fruit.
Yeah,
So if this person is miserable in their life and things are not going well in their life, and why are you listening to them?
yeah.
Right. So
Consider
be
the
mindful.
source.
Consider the source. So be mindful of who you listen to. Right. So get a circle around you. So therapy, but also get a circle around you of supportive
Hmm.
people who can
Yes.
encourage you, support you, and walk with you through the fear, not to encourage you to continue to be harmed.
Hmm.
That's not
Yeah.
healthy for you.
No, it's not, and especially at like long term,
Yeah.
like because the years start to stack up. So let's talk about. I mean, obviously, we know that you are saving women. Okay, out here spreading the good
I'm
news.
trying. I'm trying to channel my inner Harriet,
Yeah,
and I'm
you
trying to
are
get
not
other Black women
lying.
to help them channel their own
Yes,
inner
you
Harriet
are.
too.
But
Yes.
let's talk about it. As I was saying, you are a doctor.
Hmm.
You reached the peak and the pinnacle of the Black excellence. And let's talk about how you ended up in your toxic job.
Mm-hmm. Well, the thing about it, and I think many of us go into jobs, and it doesn't start off as toxic.
Hmm.
Right? At the beginning, maybe you loved it, but then over time, certain things might happen. Okay. So that's what happened to me. The supervisors that brought me in, two Black women who I'm still friends with, they eventually retired, right? And dynamics changed. And I really didn't have any protection from the workplace bully. And when you think about workplace bullies, it's important for us to keep in mind that you might identify one person as problematic, but it's generally the entire system that's problematic, that's
Hmm.
toxic, because the system knows about the workplace bully or all these other people. They know about the person, but they just allow them to continue to harm other people. And so it just got worse and worse and worse. I experienced pet to threat. So if people are not familiar with pet to threat is when a Black woman comes into the workplace or she's sought out because of her skills and she's doing very well. And, initially people are like, oh, I love her. She's so great. April's so smart. Oh, I love her, right? She's the pet. And then April starts getting more attention than other people.
Oh,
Then it shifts in terms of how she's seen, how she's treated, the threat. So that's exactly what happened to me. Okay. So shifted, and there was this attempt to try to push me out of the organization. So there were a lot
mm.
of different things that happened. I've done a number of videos about it. Some more videos are
Mhm.
going to come out about it, but I'm very transparent about it. I'm not ashamed about it because I want to get this toxicity out of my system, right? Now I've been in therapy, I've processed it, but I want to show Black women there's nothing to be ashamed about when these things happen to you, but you need to get it out of your system.
Yeah, you have to.
Mm-hmm.
Because especially as we mentioned that strong Black woman, I know
Mm-hmm.
for me, I'm like, and this was really the way that I was raised, and we can talk
Mm-hmm.
about whoopings for a second. Like, we used to get told, like, you better not cry, you better not cry. If you
Mm,
do, I'm starting over. Like,
mm,
so I learned not to cry. I'm just going to take
mm,
it. I'm not going to cry out. And again, and when we talk about those things and how conditioning and how it shows up in different areas of your life, that is actually, what was happening. I
wow.
associated crying with giving in, with being
Mm,
weak, with not being strong enough to take it, with
mm-hmm.
leaving yourself vulnerable because people are
Mm-hmm.
always going to try to get you on the okie doke move. But what
Mm-hmm.
I have found through therapy, through
Mm-hmm.
healing, is that the strength is actually ha- allowing yourself to be vulnerable.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Allowing yourself to feel, right?
yeah,
And identifying the source of what is causing me this distress,
right,
right?
right,
And,
right.
and minimizing your contact with that. So when we talk about healing, the healing from a toxic job really happens after you leave, because if you're
Yeah.
still there and get beat down,
Yeah.
you can't really, you're trying to protect yourself, but you're not truly healing.
Not at all. So, okay. Let's briefly, because on this channel we don't do all that trauma dumping, but I do want because it can be triggering.
It
Like,
can, it can,
I
it can.
already told you this. Sometimes I'm watching stuff and I'm just like, I feel my heart beating. I feel like my
Mm,
chest tightening up. And
mm-hmm,
I'm definitely past that. But to
mm-hmm.
hear so many like bing, 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 bing,
Yeah,
like it can be a little bit triggering.
yes.
But I do want to ask you,
Mm-hmm,
leaving that job,
mm-hmm.
dealing with those things, was that an easy decision for
Oh,
you?
absolutely not. Absolutely not. And it took me so many years to get the courage to leave. So I knew I wanted to leave many years before I actually left. So I would say it took me maybe 3 years to get up the courage. But it was over time, things just got so ridiculous, right? And so disrespectful. And so it was like I couldn't even live with it anymore. But it got to the point where, I took a leave of absence for a year, and that
Mhm.
gave me such an opportunity to get clarity. Like, I'm not going back there. I was clear about that. I'm not going back there. And to start working on my exit plan. And so when I
Mhm.
talk to Black women now, I say, be mindful of getting your exit plan together. Okay. So I don't want people to just abruptly leave a job without any plans for replacement income or anything like that,
Right.
unless you're in immediate danger, right?
Right.
Physically and or
Sometimes you gotta go.
psychologically, right? Sometimes you got to go. But if it's not the case, as Black women, we know how to plan, we know how to organize, we know how to do all these things. So I'm just saying to Black women, let's look at our exit plan and let's start strategizing for it. So I was strategizing, and still, even after I strategized, April, I still had that fear of, oh my God, what am I doing? What am I doing? What am I going to do for money? Even though when I came into that job, I was a licensed clinical psychologist already. So I already had the skills, the credentials, all that kind of stuff. But that's part of the lies we tell
Mhm.
ourselves, that
Mhm.
that's the only place we can make money. And that was
Right.
not true at all. But when I was on that leave of absence and I started making my money on my own, I was like, okay, you can do this, right? But even still, April, even with all of that, I was still holding on, right? But but when I heard it, I was having these physical, psychological symptoms. My friends, my close friends were like, girl, you gotta go. My immediate family, you gotta go, right? It wasn't until I heard the voice of God say to me in the shower, if you go back to that job, it's a death sentence, that I left, right?
Mm.
Because I heard it. I heard it. And I knew that if I went back there, it would not be good for me or my family, right?
Mhm.
And so that's ultimately what got me out of there.
And can you talk about some of those physical? Because I think it's
Mm-hmm.
easy for people to understand the mental effects. Okay, well, I'm anxious,
Mm-hmm.
or, maybe I'm becoming a procrastinator, or I find
Mm-hmm.
myself avoiding things. I think we can wrap our head around that. But can you talk about that mind body connection
Oh,
and
yeah.
what the prolonged stress or
Mm-hmm.
being in the toxic work environment, the effect that it may have on,
Yeah. Yeah.
your body as well?
Yeah, yeah. So when you think about being in a toxic job, you think about the impact that it has on you when you're in the job, but also outside of the job. So it's the cost. So the thought, the experience of processing about being in the job, that took a toll on me. So I have high blood pressure. My blood
Mm.
pressure was going up. I was gaining a lot of weight.
Oh,
My hair was falling out.
ugh.
It was all bad. It was just all bad, right? My sleeping was jacked up, having nightmares, and just not being myself to the point where, my youngest son, when I was on a leave of absence, he was asking me, are you going to go back to that job? And I said,
Mm.
I don't know. I'm trying to think about it. He said, please don't go back, right? Because my family was seeing what was happening to me, and it was making them sad. It was making them feeling like, what's happening? And we can't
Yeah,
protect you. There's nothing we
yeah.
can do, and we want you gone. So they were able to bear witness to that. And I don't want our, I can imagine Black women watching this now. You don't want your family to see you
Right,
struggle,
right.
right? Because it
Mhm.
hurts them too.
Yeah. And I have found, even with my son, even though I was not raised hearing the terms Black excellence. I didn't
Mhm.
learn that really until that was a recent kind of Exodus Summit thing.
Uh-huh.
Obviously, I've heard it like in passing, but it didn't
Mhm.
mean anything to me. I didn't make that
Mhm.
connection.
Mhm.
But even with my own, like I realized as a parent, even though I did things different, I
Mhm.
was still, there was just an unspoken rule. Like you're gonna make good grades,
Mhm.
you're gonna, go to college, or you're gonna do
Mhm.
something, and you always have to do your best.
Mhm.
Instilling some of that fear that my parents instilled in all of us, like
Mhm.
even about like they don't want you there. They're out to get you. Basically keep your head on
Mhm.
a swivel. You have to be
Mhm.
proactive and
Mhm.
reactive.
Mhm.
Which, if you think about the energy that it takes, the physical, your adrenaline, and the
Mhm.
constant fight or flight mode for
Mhm.
both, and just
Mhm.
balancing all, like all these plates. Like you go and they come out and they have the plates. Like don't drop it.
Mhm.
You have the version of you that needs to mask at home. You have
Mhm.
you that just needs to grin and bear when people are insulting you, taking
Mm.
your, potentially taking your ideas, because what you don't want to do is speak up for yourself, because you
Well, you
already
don't
know.
be the angry Black woman,
Oh, no,
right?
you don't want to do that, because then they'll
Yeah.
come to you. So
Oh.
I got some feedback, and I think that this is a teachable moment. All I did was ask a question. But then you also don't want to be too, I was about to call it Stephen Fletcher. Well, I already said it now, so that's what it is. You
Mhm.
don't want to pander too much, because then you're not respected.
Mhm.
That is seen as you not being intelligent, or you're not
Mhm.
a good culture fit. So
Mhm.
there are so many things. We have to be the strong Black woman at home. We have to
Mhm.
be, for some of our non-Black friends. I found this out. They are no longer my friends, and
Mm.
I was a friend to them, not necessarily them a friend to
Mm.
me. But it's
Mhm.
like, you are given this sage wisdom. You are their real life magical Negro.
Mm.
Always have the right things to say.
Mhm.
But we're not really friends. I'm lifting
Mhm.
you up, but you only call me, especially in 2020, summer
Uh-huh.
of 2020, when they're like, well, you're my friend. I mean, I'm not racist. And I'm like,
Right.
I had 6 of those calls. And on the 6th one, I just started like laughing. Like, what the hell? Like,
Mm.
like that's all I am to you. You want me to, you
Mm.
want me to give you a cookie?
Well, to
Even
make you feel less guilty,
right.
right? Mhm.
And even like in that sentence, what made me start laughing was, which is not funny, but
Mhm.
I was just laughing, not haha, but just
Mhm.
because I
It's
was
so
like,
ridiculous.
I cannot believe this. But
Mhm.
she is a good Christian woman
Mhm.
who adopted some children from Africa.
Hmm.
And she was talking about, I want to make sure that they understand what their African roots and the Black culture, but I don't want them to get any of the bad things about
Oh
being.
my gosh.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I started laughing, because all my
Wow.
previous calls were, well, I mean, you're not one of them. You're not that kind of, but you're not Black.
Oh.
I mean, I was just like, what is really happening right now?
Mm.
Whereas my neighbors, amazing white couple,
Mhm.
the husband saw me in the driveway. He looked me in my face. He said, how are you? Are you okay? And
Hmm.
I know he meant it. That's
Mhm.
different from the people calling me to give them a cookie or whatever,
Mhm.
because,
Mhm.
oh, you're not racist.
Mhm.
Another time I saw him, he said, hey, my son's name is Jonathan. I see Jonathan down at the different, like the marches that they were doing.
Mhm.
He's tall. He's almost 7 feet tall. So he's like, I
Wow.
always make sure that I keep him, in my sight in case something happens. You don't have to worry. I'm going to keep an eye on him.
Mhm.
And I'm like, wow, that is, we're neighbors, but that is
Mhm.
somebody that has a heart,
Yeah.
that doesn't want anything from me, that's telling me, I see these things, I'm going to do it, make sure that you're okay. That
Mhm.
is the dynamic that I realized when that happened. That should be all of my friends.
Mhm.
Like, why are the non-Black friends calling me to lift them up, instead
Mhm.
of asking me, how are you? How
Right. Well,
is
it's the performative kind of
Yeah,
allyship,
of
right?
course, of
Yeah.
course, of
Yeah.
course. Yeah. And so really in 2020, me laughing on that call shut a whole bunch of things down.
Mhm.
It
Mhm.
really had me evaluate and look at what is my dynamic, what does a friend mean to me,
Mhm.
like what type of friend am I to other people, to
Mhm.
notice how it's not reciprocated and to
Mhm.
value when it is, by the
Mhm.
people I consider my friends. But it also gave me a yearning for Black women friends. I,
Yes.
I growing up, I learned like, they could be your friend now, but you're gonna find out they're talking behind your back or like
Mm.
different things. Me making them feel whatever insecure or
Mm.
and I'm just being me. You know this.
Mhm.
I'm a very
Mhm.
nice person. I'm kind,
Mhm.
it's like, do you want to be my friend? But me like somehow intimidating or whatever. I can't even tell you the emotions because
Mhm.
I don't feel that way. So I did
Mhm.
not have very many Black women friends. As a matter of fact, I
Mm.
have two. One I've known since
Mm.
seventh grade, the other one I've known for close to 15 years.
Mm.
But I still had that craving. I
Mhm.
didn't realize that's what it was until I discovered Exodus Summit. But
Mhm.
still, it like I really, really wanted to be in community with other Black women, but
Mhm.
also that were, as we were talking about, they
Mhm.
understand it
Mhm.
when anyone puts something
Mhm.
in the community. And I'm sure there's other communities out there, but I only know about Exodus Summit. That's where my journey started, and that's who,
Mhm.
I'm still with. But when
Mhm.
you put something out there, even if you just need a kind word, you've got
Yeah.
thousands, of women that are going to pour into you.
And
When,
that's healing. And
of
that's healing,
of
right?
course,
Because when you think about our existence as Black women, we deal with so much stress every day. And having supportive people around us to pour into us and not always drain us, and
right?
that is healing. That is
Yes, yes,
healing. And I just want more of us to recognize and to see one another as sisters, right?
right,
And that
right.
that issue about competition. I've done so many videos as requested by people
Mhm.
watching about all skin folk and kinfolk and things. And I'm not discounting that because that happened to
Right.
me too in the workplace, right? But my hope is that as a people, that we really connect to any issues of internalized racism and sexism, that we're able to heal from that and really work together so we can uplift one another.
I agree.
Because that's how we all heal together.
Yes, yes. And feeling that safety. They say
Hmm.
there's safety in numbers. There is
Right.
such a safety in being able to show up as yourself, not having
Hmm.
to apologize, even though
Hmm.
plenty of women do it. Like, I'm
Yeah.
sorry, but I'm sorry. Like, I don't say I'm sorry, okay? And you know what? I stopped saying I was sorry, but I realized I had
Hmm.
to shut it down
Hmm.
in Spanish as well because I would start out everything with like lo siento, pero I had to say,
Mm.
look, you're done apologizing in real life.
Right.
You stopped doing that years ago. So why are you starting out apologizing now?
Hmm.
So again,
Hmm.
there's certain things that happen that kind of shine a light on some remnants. And the
Hmm.
great part about it is once you've done the work, it's almost like
Hmm.
muscle memory. You see it,
Hmm.
you digest it, you
Hmm.
you take it apart, and then you
Hmm.
move move on from it.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, now let
Yeah.
me ask you this.
Yes.
I don't know why it got like I was being serious. Okay, so you started making your own money while you were on
Hmm.
that
Leave.
year-long FMLA, and that is
Hmm.
something that I scream from the rooftops. Listen,
Hmm.
um, check your benefits. Go on to the
Hmm.
little site. Check the handbook. As
Hmm.
I've heard Marissa, you,
Hmm.
Anne-Marie Archer
Hmm.
mention, but check and see what benefits are available to you because
Hmm.
if you don't even know what's available, how can you truly craft your exit strategy?
True.
So you have to take
True.
inventory and is this something you need to do now? Do you need to
Hmm.
wait to the beginning of the year? For
Hmm.
example, when you get the 40 hours of sick, but it
Hmm.
really you can assess what's available to you.
Hmm.
So I'm always a fan of use that FMLA. Okay.
Yes.
Short-term disability, long-term disability. Go back and then start it all over again.
Hmm.
Now, so you said that you were making your own money.
Yes.
How was that? Like, how were you making that money?
Yes, yes. And that's what I tell Black women too is the encouragement when you start thinking about how to replace your income, start thinking about what are the skills that you already have that maybe you're utilizing at that job or that you're not. Okay. So again, I came into the job licensed clinical psychologist. I was trained to be a therapist. I just pivoted and started doing therapy right? And so it was during COVID. So I was just doing telehealth and
Mhm.
just start making money. But also at the same time, I was in a coaching program. So coaching was helping me get my business together. And I also started working with Dr. Roche Brown, who's a
Mm.
financial psychologist, so I can get my money right. So money drama, money story, all that kind of stuff. But I can get my money right and I can confront my fears about money. Because
Mm.
if money was the main reason that I was still staying there, I was like, okay, I need to confront the fears about that. I need to find out how much money do I need so that
Mhm.
I can leave. And so she came up with a plan for me. And she was like, girl, you're going to be more than okay. In fact, you staying at that job, you're losing money.
Mm.
Okay. So that helped me. And then eventually down the line, I partnered with Dr. Roche Brown and we've done master classes together.
Yes,
So
yes,
we have
yes.
a financial master class because I was like, if she's helped me this much, I want to be able to help other Black women to talk about the fears about the money stuff, but then coming up with a financial plan.
Okay, and I love
Hmm.
that. So, when you first started doing the telehealth, was
Yeah.
it still working with young people, or you
I was
automatically
no.
went to working with Black women?
I started working with Black people, just Black
Oh, okay.
people in general.
Hmm.
And then just more of my clientele became Black women. So the majority of my therapy clients are Black women. Yeah. And it
Okay.
just, that's just how it just came to be.
Oh, I love it. Okay, so you mentioned your coaching program. Was
Yes.
that the Hello Seven program?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, let's talk about that because I think it
Yes.
took you what 15 years and 8,000 hours. No, I'm just kidding. To
Close
complete.
to it. Close to it. No, no, no. Close to it. No. So Hello Seven is with Rachel Rogers. We should all be millionaires. And so I went through her coach certification program because I said to myself, I'm a therapist and I appreciate being a therapist, particularly with Black women. However, as a therapist, I can only impact so many people, right?
Mhm.
The number of people in my caseload, I can only service people in California because I'm licensed in California. And I was like, how do I help more Black women? Because I had started my YouTube channel during COVID. Yeah. And I was talking about my healing journey from a toxic job. And then more Black women started reaching out to me. And I was like, wait a minute, I didn't know how many people were struggling with this issue
That's
around
the
the world.
thing. It
And
really is.
so as I started talking, I was like, wait a minute, there's so many of us who are being harmed at toxic jobs. How do I support more Black women? I was like, coaching's the way because now I can work with any Black woman anywhere. They don't have to be in California
Mm.
and it doesn't have to be in a therapeutic relationship, right?
Right.
So then I said, let me go get my certification for coaching. And so I do group coaching and then individual coaching for Black women to help them leave a toxic job. So if it's they want to go into another job or they want to start their own business. But the main point I want them to know is even if you choose to go to another job, we would work together about identifying what are the things you need in a job and how do you identify the red flags so you don't end up in another toxic job, right?
Mhm.
Or if you do, what can be your exit strategy?
Right.
So my whole focus right now, April, is how to help Black women get out. Okay,
Mhm.
because
Mhm.
again, the healing happens once you get out, and the urgency has increased for me too because
Okay.
I've seen so many Black women who have died as a
Mm.
result of being in stressful jobs or just the mental health implications of being in a stressful job. And I am just committed to this because I experienced it and I know what
Yeah.
it feels like and the misery and the dread and all of that. And seeing so many Black women who are still suffering, right? And then when I was at the previous toxic job, I saw a number of Black women who were not that much older than me dying, you know?
Oh
And
my
it just,
goodness.
yeah, it scared me. It scared me. They were dying and or they were developing cancer, having heart
Mhm.
attacks, having strokes.
Mhm.
And I was looking at that like, that will not be me. That will not be me. And so I just want to show Black women that we have a way out. We have multiple ways out, even if
Yes.
it doesn't seem
Wow.
like it, and even if it seems scary, right? That I want to acknowledge the fear is going to be there,
Oh yeah.
but there's ways to walk through the fear. And
Right.
I hope that they can see me, somebody who was not on social media at all, right? I'm on social media now all the time. But
Oh
I'm
yeah.
like, I'm doing that because I want to show Black women that there's a way out.
Yeah. And I did link all of your, I linked your socials down below.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to put the link if you want to schedule some time to coach with and get more information to coach with Dr. Kimani. And I don't want you to give away all the secret sauce, but tell me what people can expect from working with you. I understand that you'll help them build these plans, but
Mm-hmm.
what is the, if you could sum it up, what would you say is the transformation that they can
Mm-hmm.
expect from working with you?
Yeah, the transformation is to go from hopeless to hopeful and know that you have agency, know
Hmm.
that you have power, and knowing how to take your power back from a woman who was beat down, who can
Yeah.
relate to your situation, beat down, felt defeated, but I'm walking with you to show you a way out, right? So I wish I had somebody who could
Yes.
show me
Yes.
the
I
way
wish
out.
I had Dr. Kamani.
I wish I had me too. So now I'm like, okay, I can help you. And I know that it's scary, but I have the faith because I'm there, right? I walked through it. So I'm walking along with you, but I have the resources to share with you things to think about, things to plan for, and how to create not only your replacement income, but how to have multiple streams of
Mm,
income, which
yeah.
now I have. Because
Yes.
before at the job, I had that one job. That's why I was so scared because I had the one source of income. Now I have multiple sources of income. So I want other Black women to know how to create multiple sources of income as well.
Yeah. Because when we're faced with these things, and like you said, that fear that's there,
Mm-hmm.
it's fear of the unknown. I mean,
Oh,
it's
yeah.
legitimate, but we
Mm-hmm.
don't know what is on the other side if we do
Mm-hmm.
walk through this fear. And what I like to tell, say, or people ask me because, I end up coaching and I don't mean to, but, it kind of, how it goes, it kind of just goes into that
Uh-huh.
sometimes, not often, okay? Because mama don't work for free. But I tell people like what we don't know when we are in the midst of fear is that what is waiting on us on the other side is freedom.
Yeah.
Like when we walk through that, we are walking towards freedom,
Yeah.
the liberation,
Mm-hmm.
the weights being lifted off your shoulders,
Mm-hmm.
the self esteem coming back, the self
Mm.
worth,
Mm-hmm.
the self confidence. Because and you
Yeah.
mentioned this too, but when I left corporate back in 2018,
Mm-hmm.
I felt like I left my skill set or whatever. My brain was left there,
Mm.
and being thrust into this world as a business owner, which
Mm-hmm.
if you've heard my story, I started 4 businesses and a nonprofit because I needed something. I didn't
Yeah.
know how to sit, like to sit and rest. Rest to
Mm-hmm.
me meant you're laying around on the couch.
Mm.
You didn't even brush your teeth today, walking through the house with your bonnet on or whatever. You're sleeping a lot. I
Mm-hmm.
associate rest with sleeping,
Mm-hmm.
not necessarily rest with healing,
Mm-hmm.
because that's
Mm-hmm.
really, really important. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And you mentioned that, which again, I have all the links to your socials because
Mm-hmm.
you are very active. And you're on your YouTube video, you have some amazing conversations
Mm-hmm.
with other Black women to show, and correct me if I'm wrong, but to
Mm-hmm.
show women who may not necessarily see themselves in you, they may not
Mm-hmm.
necessarily see themselves in me, but give
Mm-hmm.
women a voice so that
Yeah.
they can see themselves represented and be able
Yeah.
to really resonate and be able to hear
Yeah.
what your guests are saying. Can you tell me some of the guests that you had on your show that have tackled, I don't want to say tackled, but that some of the topics that you've discussed on your channel?
Well, multiple videos about all skin folk and kinfolk, because again, that issue comes up very often because it's so painful when somebody causing harm is another Black woman. So I've had a number of videos about that. I've had other videos where it's like panels of medical doctors or individual medical doctor talking about the impact that stress has on our
Mm,
bodies and how important that is to address that. Last week we talked about finding joy after leaving a
yes.
toxic job,
My
and
favorite subject.
and I talked about spirit murder. You know that I
Oh,
was feeling a sense of spirit murder when I was
what
at the
is
toxic
that?
job. It was it was robbing me of all my joy. It was
Hmm.
like a joy robber, and
Yeah.
it was giving me like the light that I had in my life. It just destroyed my spirit. Right, I
Yeah.
was being beat down, and every day I was like trying to defend myself every day. And
Yeah.
so I think a lot of us can relate to that sense of that spirit murder. And that's
Yeah.
exactly what it felt like for me, right? It was like I had to like defend myself, like I'm dying, like I'm mentally
Right.
dying in this place, right?
Yeah.
So, I have a range of different topics, a range of different Black women. And I try to go on live every Sunday at 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern, because 5 p.m. Sunday, when I was at the toxic job, was the worst day of the week for me.
Ooh,
It
I
was
need
it
a
was
sip of
the
water.
start.
I need a sip of water. Hold on. Let me get.
You can feel it too, right?
This is my magic
Oh,
water. Yes. Yes.
yes.
Yes.
It was like such an overwhelming feeling of dread. Even if I had a great weekend, this overwhelming
Yeah.
feeling of dread, like, oh my God, I have to go back to that place again, right? So part of my healing is I continue to talk about Black Women Talk Job. That's part of the healing too.
Yes.
I'm still healing, even though I left about 2 years ago. I'm still healing. But the part about it now is now I'm helping to heal other Black women,
Yes.
and I am uplifting our experiences and showing you're not alone.
Hmm.
There's different ways to heal. So all the Black women I show that interview, they talk about ways that they've healed, and I want people to hear from a range of different perspectives. And this Sunday, I'm going to have Dr. Jillian Watley and her mother, and we're going to be talking about how a toxic job harms our families.
Mm.
So we're going to talk about different aspects, because the thing about it too, April, is this is a very complex issue, because when you think about being in a toxic job, it's so much involved. It's so many levels to it. So that's why I have so much content to talk about, because there's so much to unpack. There's so
Yeah.
much to heal from.
Yeah. That's true. And you know what? When you were talking about how even though you are still healing, as am
Hmm.
I, I'm
Yeah.
still going through my path of self-discovery. I had to work on doing things because I want to,
Hmm.
not because, I could justify it or have this long laundry list.
Hmm.
But I thought about something, and this is where um kind of what it made me think of is you are speaking to women, meeting them where they are, and
Hmm.
through your scars,
Mm.
not a scab. Like,
Mm.
sometimes I'll speak for myself. I was out there, I'm coaching people, helping other people get free, but it's almost like the Wizard of Oz, when Toto like hopped over and Dorothy was like, he got away. Like I was helping them, but I had not healed. So I was
Mm.
helping people, truly helping people make transformations, but
Mhm.
it was coming through my scab. So just imagine when
Ooh.
you have a constant, rubbing past, like how can your scab really heal? How can that really
Mm.
heal if you're constantly, like on your knee or something? You remember that
Mm.
climate trees back in the day?
Mhm.
Like certain places, if you get something, it's going to be under that constant tension.
Mhm.
And it has to be though through your like it's healed. So you may
Mhm.
still have that scar
Mhm.
and maybe you need to break the tissue up. And over
Mhm.
time, it's going to become lighter and lighter.
Mhm.
But you are still speaking from a perspective that wound has healed.
Yeah.
And there's always going to be more to come because
Mhm.
I think as humans, we should evolve. As
Mhm.
humans, we should, when it is time to grow,
Mhm.
we can grow.
Mhm.
We have to confront those things that make us uneasy.
Mhm.
Just but again, you've done it before, so it's almost that muscle memory.
Yeah. Yeah. And also to remove ourselves from situations that threaten our physical and our psychological well-being.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Mhm.
Okay. Now this is the part that I've been waiting for. I'm excited.
Yes.
First of all, I know that you're doing the coaching, which I love.
Mhm.
I know that your YouTube channel has just a myriad of, Black women
Mhm.
sharing their stories so that other Black women can see they're not alone and that they
Mhm.
can get through this.
Yes.
But you have something that is coming up. Well, I should say we, but not, I'll be
You're
there.
part of it. Yes, you're part of it.
Okay, well, good. What does Stephanie say? I'm taking all the credit. I'm going to insert myself in this, okay? But you are co-hosting with Marissa Price,
Mhm.
the first of many job. Wait a minute, virtual. Wait a minute, hold on. Job Liberation Virtual Summit. Okay, so
Yes.
let me get it together.
Yes. Yes, so the Job Liberation Virtual Summit for Black Women is
Let
May
me check this
18th
out.
and 19th, and early registration starts today. Okay,
Yes,
and
a good day.
April is our MC. Okay,
Oh,
um,
yes.
April's also an affiliate, one of our affiliates, and
Hmm.
so you can register using her affiliate link. And we have just a powerhouse list of speakers.
Oh,
There
I
they
have
are.
it as
Boom,
Switchy. Hold on.
boom. Okay,
Okay,
so
right
you
on. I
see
did it right.
all
Good.
of our speakers. So we're going to kick it off with Stephanie Perry. You know, she has a book coming out, Job Detox. So
Hmm.
talking about ways that we get our minds ready and prepare ourselves to get ready to leave a toxic job, right? So we're going to be talking about getting our minds together. We're going to talk about burnout. We're going to talk about the impact on our mental health of being in a toxic job, how our sleep is affected
Oh,
by
yes.
being a toxic job,
Yes.
how we can be robbed of our joy and our dreams. So Alicia Renice is going to be there. And then the second day is more so in terms of getting your plan together. So we're going to have Amory Archer, the anti-HR lady, who I also did a previous masterclass with. So she's going to be there in terms of talking about severance, if you want to seek severance. Libria Jones is going to be talking about getting remote work and what to do in terms of if there's gaps in your resume, any breaks. And then we have Patrice talking about getting a side hustle. And then Marissa and I are going to be talking about creating your own business.
Nice.
So there's so much information for you on those 2 days. Again, early registration starts today.
Yes.
And so if you want to save some money, get early registration. And there's different tiers in terms of what you can do in terms of your ticket. So you can go to general admission, which you have access to those 2 days, okay? But you don't have access to the recordings. The
Okay.
other two tiers allows for you to have the recording, right? So you have the premiere and then you have the exclusive. The exclusive one gives you the recordings, but you also have access to a bonus masterclass with Dr. Roche Brown that following Monday, a
Okay.
financial masterclass about how to get your money right, right? So getting that plan together. So it's like a modified version of the other masterclass we've done. So you will have access to that as well.
Nice. And that's who you said that that you worked with
Yes,
for your own. Yes.
yes, absolutely. So I can completely vouch for her because she helped me get my money right so I can get out. Right? So yeah. So again, the link is right there. And oh,
Okay.
let me say this too, April.
Yeah, I'm listening.
So
I thought I made me a little fancy banner and I don't see
oh,
it.
okay, okay,
Hold on. I'm gonna add it back again.
okay. So I just wanted to say that for participants who attend the virtual summit, that your identity is going to be private. So
Mm,
no one will know. No one will know that you're in the summit. Okay. So as Black women, we know that we are very private because we have to be sometimes because
yes.
these jobs are like plantations many
Hmm.
times.
I
So
agree.
nobody will know. Your face will not be on camera. Your name will not be listed. Okay. If you have a question or comment, you can you can change your name in the platform. Okay, if you
Okay.
want to ask a question or make a comment.
Okay. I like that. Okay. Hold
Yeah.
on. Oh, I'm almost there. Oh, while we do that, well,
Uh-huh.
hold on. I think I have to save it. Okay, hold on. I have it
April's
in.
fancy with the tech stuff.
Look, I attend that StreamYard, the live. I go on all of those sessions. Okay, hold on. Let me spell this right. VELYPRYL.com. Okay. And as you mentioned, I am going to be the MC,
Yes.
the moderator. I am so excited about that because, as I've shared with you, and what some of you may or may not know is that I am also a voice actor, and that is one of the reasons that when I resigned, and I'm creating I've already created, I have to do the thumbnail of a video that I will post next week that really goes into the job, how I am walking away this time instead of
Mhm.
running away, and what
Mhm.
that looks like. But I want to go, all in on my voice acting career, and
Mm.
see where that can really take me.
I
And
love that, April.
yes, yes. And I thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to, you've shared your platform with me always,
Mhm.
but giving me the opportunity to have my voice be heard in a
Yeah.
literal sense by so many Black women who, would hopefully need my services one day. Okay,
Yes.
sooner than later. Okay, hold on. Let me see if this works. No. What is that? Okay, hold on. I clicked the wrong. I'm such an old lady. Okay, hold on. Yay. Okay. There we go. So if you go to summit.positivelypryl.com, and again, as an ambassador, I first said that, but as an ambassador, this is an affiliate link. So, I want to make that clear. I will receive, a couple dollars. But this is something that, regardless, when we spoke before I even became an affiliate, I said, like, how can I serve you? How can I help this? Because this is truly, as many of the women that are, I call it the Exodus Summit et al., but we are changing Black women's history. And there are so many lives that are being changed. And this summit is one of them. So I'm very, very happy to be a part of Black women's history. Also, let me give a shout out to the sponsors.
Oh, absolutely. And I want to give a shout out to my co-host, Mr. Price.
Yes, please.
Yes.
Okay, hold on. I know I'm gonna mess this up, but I'm just gonna cover our faces again. I think I have to. Oh, okay.
Yes. So I'm so excited about our sponsors. And actually, this was April's idea about getting sponsors. So we have Resume Addict, we have the Soulfulness Center, we have Soul Care for Black Clinicians Academy, we have Chef B's Essential Meals to Go, vegan meals, and then we have Afroflow Yoga. So excited that all of these businesses have decided to sponsor us. And these are all Black women owned businesses. Yes.
Oh, I'm so excited. Okay, let me see if I can do it right again. There we go. All right. So I have not even been to the chat. Oh, hey, there's people. There's people here. Interesting. Okay, hold on. Let me go back to Dr. Kimani. I'm like a little old lady sometimes with this. Like, okay, so there we go. There's us. And I'm going to keep that going. Again, if you are interested in purchasing tickets, or even that is going to take you to the main page. So you're able to read about it, get a little bit more information. You don't have to take our word for it, but go ahead and check it out and see if this is something that you're going to be interested in. As Dr. Kimani mentioned, there's different tiers. And this is going to be just life-changing for so many women. And I'm excited about that.
Yes. And the ask is that every Black woman who's watching this right now, that you share this with at least 2 other Black women.
Please, please, please do. Yes, please do. Okay, let me turn to my inner Dr. Kimani. You know how you read things. Listen, if anyone has any questions at all, go ahead and put a Q in there. We do have a few people, or any comments. You don't have to just put questions. And if you're watching this from the future, hello. Go ahead and put any questions or comments that you may have down below, because I'm at the point where I answer all my comments. Okay, maybe one day I can I can have someone assist me, but right now I really enjoy the interaction and hearing from people. Okay, so we have some greetings and salutations happening in there. We see the Marissa. Hello, Marissa.
Hey, Marissa.
Colette Elizabeth.
Hey, Colette.
Yes. Colette. That's Dr. Colette, right? Or did I make that up?
She's almost there.
Yes. Okay. I knew
we were there. Yes.
Too much. Okay. We have, of course, Pisces Pret. She is at every single live, and I really, appreciate the audience, because eventually it will build. But I'm really, I call them my day ones. There's some that are my day ones. And she's giving some congratulations to both you and I on,
awesome.
Thank you. She also said long time no see. I know. Be gentle with me. Let's see. Oh, she said that she wants me to share about the VO, that we may need to chat. Let's see. Hello, Marissa. Okay. And then she put some hearts, and it was just really, people kind of talking back and forth and saying hello. And that's also in my speaker bio, I mentioned about a previously silenced voice, because Black women, especially, either we are silenced just by the systemic or just even how our society for generations and generations, not to get too deep, but we live in a patriarchal world that depends on the matrons. You know what I mean? If you were in a room and you have 10 men and you say, who tell me the three strongest people that you know, I guarantee you. I guarantee they're going to say my mom, my grandmother, my auntie, my wife. You know what I mean? Unfortunately, this world is designed not necessarily for us, especially not to be doing what we're doing, which is why it's important to speak up. Like my voice was silenced before. I was raised, basically like how children are to be seen and not heard. I just, being in an all white space, I knew that I didn't belong there, especially being a woman in these all white spaces and being a Black woman in these all white. I just, tried to blend in, and my voice was silenced either by me for protection or self-preservation or just how the world is set up. So that's why I was playing small for so many years, even though people have complimented me on my voice for as long as I can remember. I was a toddler with this same exact voice. And you want to know something? In corporate, I started making my voice higher. I can't even do it now if I even wanted to, but it took me probably about 8-9 months to speak in my natural voice, which is to even become comfortable with that, because I had spent so much time playing small, so I didn't draw attention to
but also, April, it speaks to what you talked about before, the disconnect from yourself, right? So the masking of your voice. Oh gosh.
Yeah, I'm telling you, like it runs so deep, and you don't, as you mentioned, you don't heal when you're in the midst of that. I remember, like, I never would have wore this. No. As a matter of fact, on my I made a video, 5 things I wish another Black woman would have told me before I quit that good job. I always like to do that. But I put like a badge on there and my hair was back. Like that was after I left corporate. So I had me some like twist and a little bun. I was acting fast that day, but my hair would be pulled back. I never forget it. I was sitting here because this is my spot on the couch. And I realized, April, why are you wearing this bun pulled back still? It was probably about a year after I left corporate.
Wow.
And that's when it was like, okay, well, my hair got a name. I started treating my hair and being in a space of gratitude instead
of reclaiming your freedom.
Yes.
In your home.
Yes. I mean, I'm telling you, there are so many things that we don't realize that we're doing until we stop doing them.
Yeah.
We don't realize the true effect until we're out of that environment, and we're left pretty much as me, myself, and I. So, yes. Thank you, Diamond. Yes, we do. We silence ourselves.
Yes.
Again, it's self-preservation.
Yes.
It is, sometimes we don't want that even from, like family, friends. I would hope nobody's talking crazy like that, like this on the job, but we are consistently told through the media, through even church, through, like traditional gender roles, which I don't have a problem with. My problem is when it goes to, I am inferior. That's really what kind of church see. The man is the head of the house. Nothing wrong with that. But that means that we're inferior.
Yeah.
Men, you can't be a loud woman. These independent women, like I had my first troll, like, you need to get a man. Like,
oh my God.
I need to get a life. That's what I need to do. Right. Like, that is not an insult. And plenty of women have men, they're married and everything, but that's the go-to. That is, if you want to, not me, but, many times people try to insult us, women as well, by saying that's why you don't have a man or that's why you're not married. Like as if our value, and it's something that we are complicit with. Again, that conditioning, our value is intertwined and our identity is so intertwined with what other people tell us that it should be.
Right. And I think what's so pivotal and what is so revolutionary with Exodus Summit and so many of us out here, on YouTube, you, Colette Elizabeth, Marissa Price, Alicia Renee, Stephanie Perry, Rashida Dow, all of us, right?
H&D, because you know I got to give a shout out
H&D
to H&D
Abroad,
Room.
from Lack
Hey,
to
D.
Legacy, so
Yes,
many of us
yes,
that we are showing that we are centering ourselves as Black women, and we are saying definitively, this is what works for me and this is what does not work for me. And I'm not going to take this anymore, right?
right,
Like, I want to live the life that I want to live. And just thinking about, we don't have to live the life that our ancestors did because they
right,
sacrificed for us to
right.
live this life, right?
Yes,
So it's reclaiming a different life for ourselves. And then just going back to the summit, it's even liberating ourselves from toxic jobs that are threatening to harm us, and seeing that there's another way. There's another way for us to make money. There's another way for
hmm,
us to live. You don't always have to be stuck somewhere, even though it feels that you will be. You don't have
yeah,
to stay there. You have
right.
options. You have
Yes.
options.
And also, and I was listening recently to a podcast and I was on. And what's funny is when I'm on, like, even if I watch something that I was on somebody's YouTube channel, my
Mhm.
instinct is to, oh, let me grab my notebook because that was good, even though it was me saying it. but but when I was listening to a podcast that I did, I believe it was like fall of 2020. Well, that's when it ran, but whatever, summer 2020. And I was saying, like, I had the financial freedom. I even had the time freedom. What I didn't
Mm,
have was the emotional freedom.
yeah.
Because like what these three pieces, it's almost like the blessed trinity. Like you have to have that because what good is being on this trip, um, enjoying yourself, spending money when your mind is still stuck in that,
Yeah.
space.
Exactly.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay, well, I don't see any questions, but just a bunch of, comments. And I love that. Thank you so much, ladies, for giving all of the, yes. Okay.
Love and
So,
support.
yes. And I know that you have to go. So thank you again for sharing your time today, Marissa. Thank you as well for being in the chat. I'm so looking forward to the summit, and I will put all of the links down below. So thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Please share this with two other Black women,
Yes,
please.
share it with everyone. Okay, thank
Yes.
you, Dr. Kimani.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you. Bye.